Okay, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. Today I want to talk to the people that are in their 60s, their 70s, 80s, 90s, or 100 or more, okay? This is for you. Now, if you're in your 50s, your 40s, your 30s, your 20s, or even younger, go ahead and listen because one day it will be you. It won't mean as much now because you're not to that place, but one day you will be, and it will change some things for you. So I'm in that upper age group, been there for a while. And if I'm honest, I will tell you that there are times when I just kind of feel like my best days are behind me. There have been some times when I've questioned if I even have any usefulness left. People don't respond to me like they did when I was younger. You know, if you walk into a church, they don't go, "Oh, goody, old people." They're looking for the young people that, have fresh new ideas and lots of energy. And a lot of times you can kind of start feeling like you've already done what you had to do. And now here I am just living out what's left of time, waiting for the end to come. And doesn't that sound awful? I think it sounds awful. Well, God's been sharing some things with me and encouraging me. So I've got this brother, Keith. He's my brother in the Lord, not my brother in the flesh. Great guy. Best little brother a girl could ever ask for. And he really encourages me sometimes at just the right minute. So he sent me a video the other day that, I don't know, I think it's like 40 something minutes long or whatever. And I think it's a compilation of sermons from Billy Graham when he talked about being older, or they cut pieces out or something because you can kind of hear how it's kind of put together. But he's talking to that 60 and over crowd, and he talks about if you're 60 or older and you woke up today, that's a huge thing because there's a lot of people who never make it that far. Now, when he recorded this, it was, I think, like 30 years ago or more. But what he's saying there is true. It's still true. And, and I'm at that season in life where I keep losing my friends, that their time is coming. The day after Thanksgiving, another very precious friend of mine passed away, went home to be with the Lord, and I'm very happy for her. Very sad for me because she definitely was one of the key people in my life. And so navigating life without that friendship now it's a huge impact, a huge change. But that's just where we're at. And I know some people, like, oh, you get kind of morbid. You're always talking about you and Marvin, and, I'm preparing for when you die and all. But you know what? You guys in that age group, those age groups, okay, this is the reality. We get up there into our 60s plus, and we know that the reality is there's less days ahead of us than there are behind us. And some people go, oh, you don't know that. Young people. I had a young person today saying to me that you just don't know. You could live to, you may only be halfway through your life. I said, I hope not. I hope I'm more than that because I'm not going to live to be way over 100. So don't want to. But, it's like when you're young, the idea that you're going to die someday, that's a horrible thought. And you should never think that. But you guys, it's reality. I used to, when I was younger, would say, well, if I ever die, well, now it's, no, of course you're going to die. So when I die, it's not morbid. It's not really depressing either. It's just a fact of life. Marvin and I know that the dogs we have now, those are the last dogs we'll ever have. That when those dogs, hopefully we outlive them, but when those dogs have lived their life, we won't replace them because when we go, we don't have somebody that's going to run in and say, hey, I'll take the dogs and finish taking care of them, and so we don't have anybody to leave as guardian for our dogs. So yeah, we've made that commitment that this is it for us. And so we're, going to love these dogs and enjoy them to the fullest, because that's it. And when we, have to make different decisions and do different things, we do look at it, well, that'll do us for the rest of our days. That's kind of a nice feeling to know that, the warranty on something is probably greater than how many years we have left. So we don't have to worry about that one anymore. So yeah, Marvin and I, we're going through some changes, and there are some big changes coming, which we'll talk about those when they happen. There's no sense talking about them with you right now, because I don't know what the time frame is. But as we're, making some choices and decisions, yeah, we do, keep those things in mind, how it impacts us as we age. Growing older is not a bad thing. I don't think I ever have been feeling that it's a bad thing or depressed about it. It's more of that, but am I useful anymore? Is there anything left for me to do? And I've been experiencing some significant health things. And there have been, as I've talked about on here, there have been some times when I thought, is this it, Lord? Am I going to come home now and see you? Because that's okay with me. I look forward to the day that he calls me home. But I'm not in a hurry to go. I feel, and this, I don't know if I've said this on here yet, but as I have tried to analyze myself and everything I'm feeling and thinking and, and dealing with the loss of the death of another friend and all, I feel like when I was younger and foolish, that I wasted a lot of time that I could have spent serving God. I did serve him a lot, but I could have done better. I could have done more. I think that's part of growing old, as we look back and go, oh, I was so young and naive. But yeah, we were young and naive, and we thought we had all this time ahead of us, and we didn't always make really good choices. And a lot of times we reacted out of our emotions or our feelings instead of logic, and, and that doesn't usually work out very good. So I, have told the Lord, you know what, if this is it, if this is when I'm supposed to be coming home, I'm ready to go. I'm at peace, and I do look forward. Oh my word, what is it going to be like to see Jesus face to face? I think about that because I know it's close. It's way closer than it used to be. And I don't love anybody as much as I love him. I don't long for anybody as much as I long for him, and look forward to seeing him and to actually be face to face with him. So even as I say that, I can feel my heart kind of speeding up. I do long for that, and I do look forward to that. And yes, I look forward to seeing the people who've gone ahead of me, who I miss and all. But even that just is so small compared to how much I long to see Jesus and to be with him. So I'm not afraid to die. I'm not, But the thing that gets in there is, Lord, if you're not done with me yet, and you would grant me more time to serve you, that would also please me, because I want to do as much as I can for him before I go. And I just feel, I think that there's a lot of things that I should have done that I could still do, maybe. But then that whole old age thing. Yeah. And it's been a lot of years since I've been in a situation where somebody really knew and understood what my gifts and talents are spiritually, how God uses me. Not many people around me these days that even have a clue. And the opportunities aren't there. And yeah, I have gotten kind of sad at times and felt like maybe I'm done. I'm used up. Well, Keith the other day sent me a text, and in it was this link to this video with Billy Graham speaking. And so I know that when Keith sends me something, it's important to listen to. It's just what I need to hear. So I was, because it was on YouTube, I was able to get, sometimes he sends me things that are on Facebook, and I don't have Facebook, haven't had it in years. And I won't have it again, just because that was a personal thing with me, and I felt the Lord told me to close that account. And for everything that was going on in my life at that time, it was such a good decision. And I feel no leading to ever open that again, or because I just think it would drag me back where I was, and I don't want to do that. So, it was a YouTube video. I was able to get it, and I listened to it. I even stopped it a couple of times and ran it back to hear something he said again, as he spoke to those 60 plus. And he began, your best days are still ahead of you. And he goes through different ones in Scripture that they were 80 years old before God really used them and did his greatest work in their lives. They were 70, whatever, but they were older. And I don't know, as I listened to him share the Scriptures and talk about it, and it just really kind of started lighting a fire in me and encouraging me. And it was like, oh my word. So after I heard the whole thing, I sent Keith a text back saying, I've watched it. Thank you so much for sending that to me, because I really needed to hear it today. Then Keith, he said some things to me. We talked back and forth a little bit, but let me see if I can bring this up on my phone. And I asked him if I could share this with you, this one little part that he sent to me. So, because what did I say before that? I said, I too feel like my greatest work is ahead of me, because we were talking about that. I sure hope so. But some days I feel I'm headed home, which I long to be with Jesus, but I find myself asking him to let me stay just a little longer to do a lot more for him. I wasted so much time in the past. There's so much to do. The enemy pushes against me every day, so I get my spiritual exercise. I must be a dangerous old woman. And then LOL. Okay, so then he comes back and tells me to listen to that message again, which I've saved that message. I probably will listen to it many times over, just because how it encourages me. But he says, this is what he said to me, and I thought this was so good. So for those of you that are older like me, I wanted to share this with you. I want Keith's words to hopefully be an encouragement to you too, because this is absolutely true for every single one of us that really love Jesus and want to make a difference in his kingdom. So he said this, if your earthly vessel is still breathing, then you're far from finished. Never underestimate the value of the tears, the impact of getting up after failure, the strength that overcoming brings to your life, the instincts you acquire from life's challenges, the wisdom in every gray hair. It's like seasoning to your soul so God can serve it up for the glory of his name. Your tears add salt to your prayers and make them far more impactful in his presence. The Jesus before the wilderness amazed the men in the temple, pleased his Father in heaven, and gave John the Baptist closure to his ministry. The Jesus after the wilderness is the one who defeated death and holds the keys. Sister, we are not done yet. Don't listen to the lies. Whoops, now my phone's rolling. Don't listen to the lies of the enemy. He is just using the only option he has to defeat you. Lies, nothing else. He is powerless against the truth. And what's the truth? Jesus in you. I'm preaching this to me first. You are just in the impact zone, which I told him is just fine with me. I don't mind being in the impact zone of truth. And then I asked him, can I share this? If I feel led to share this in a video on YouTube, are you okay with it? And he was absolutely yes. Exclamation mark, yes. So I wanted to share that with you today. If you're in that upper age group, you guys, you can't have lived as long as we lived and not been through some things. Maybe all our experiences aren't the same, but we've all been through some battles, some hard things. Marvin and I were talking today about some of the things that we've been through, and together as a couple. And actually, one of the things we were talking about, we had this time, I don't remember how many years ago it was. It was more than 5 years ago because my dad was still living. And there was a terrible storm. And the day before the storm, they had dug up part of this field next to us to put in these new power poles. And then this horrible storm hit and lots of rain. And then when the storm was over, the next day or so, there was a blanket moving across the ground towards us, coming from this field. And you could see it moving towards us. And when we went out and looked, it was these tiny little bugs. I believe, if I remember right, they're called cinch bugs anyway, or chinch bugs, I don't know. But these things were marching. Trillions of quadrillions, I don't know. So many. And they kind of went out into the street a little, but they stayed on our side of the road. And they were just methodically moving. And they got up to our property and started moving across our property. And when they got to our house, they didn't just go up and over the house, because they were always headed in this one direction together, okay? But they came in through our house, this blanket of bugs. And it started on the end of the house where our bedroom and bathroom is. And they moved through our house, this blanket of bugs that just kept going and going and going until they ended up on the other end of the house, which is where my dad was staying. And they were, I mean, it was a plague. Okay, Marvin and I are like going, this is a plague. They were on our toothbrushes, going across our plates, our food. The one thing they didn't walk across was us. But they were on anything that wasn't living. They were walking across, and just, nothing was an obstacle. They just kept going over whatever was in front of them. And it took about a week until they moved out of our house. Now, we tried all kinds of poisons, couldn't kill them. Or you might kill a few, but the other ones would just walk right over those dead ones. It didn't stop them. We had exterminators out here. They couldn't figure it out. He even went to the research department with the university dealing with this stuff, and they didn't know what to do. And so we ended up researching it online ourselves and found out what kind of bugs they were and what happens. And we found that there's nothing you can do about them. They're just going to go the course, and eventually the last one will walk through your house and be done with it. We found people that this had happened to, and they were able to tell us. It was their testimony of what they went through, not the experts out there that should have known, because they didn't know. But it was people who'd already been through it saying, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. It takes about a week usually for them to walk through your house. But when they do, they'll be gone, and they'll just keep heading whatever direction they're going until they find the new place with a new field from their migration, and then they go deep underground, and they will stay there until something huge happens to disturb them. And then they'll come out and start another migration. So we had to just kind of hold through it. My dad, because they started on our end of the house, and he just would, look at them and go, well, I'm just glad they're not in my part of the house. And I'm like, just wait, Dad, they're coming. And sure enough, they came through there, and he was just like, didn't really let them bother him much. But anyway, as long as they didn't get in his food or walk across his body, he didn't really care. And so they migrated through our house, and all we could do was wait it out and do our best to work with what was there, because there was no stopping them. And actually, Marvin and I, we were talking about that today, and he goes, wow, we've been through some things. And I'm like, yeah, but that's kind of like old age. If you live long enough, it's going to happen. And you can't really stop it. You can't really change it. It's just going to do what it's going to do, and you just kind of have to work with it. And it will eventually move on. And the moving on is not necessarily the dying, okay? But as you live and these changes happen, and these things impact your life, you learn to live with them. You adapt. I don't get around as good as I used to. I don't think there's any changing that. So I've learned to adapt. Today I had to go out and check something on our land, and so I had an old broom handle that I use as a walking stick when I'm having a hard day and I'm not real steady on my feet. And I was kind of having one of those days. So I made sure I exited and entered the house where the ramp is. And I took my walking stick to steady me, went out, did what I needed to do, and came back. And I was fine, okay? I was never in harm's way or anything. But it's just, I adapted. I would, maybe one day I'll have a really cool walking stick. I told Marvin, I'm always keeping eyes open on the land and stuff, because I think one day I'll come across a stick that's really, strong, that will be just the right thing. And then I'll take it and, and sand it and polish it up and everything. And that'll be my walking stick. But until then, I'm fine with an old broom handle. Doesn't bother me a bit. That's part of adapting, and using what I've got. I'm fine with that. Other people are like, oh, no, you got to have... No, don't need nothing fancy. It does the job. I'm good. Do I look like I'm worried about being fancy? Nope. Quit worrying about that a long time ago. There are good things to getting older. For me, I'm a lot more comfortable just with who I am. That's a good thing. I don't feel that pressure to please people and meet their expectations anymore. I'm an old woman. It's time for you to meet mine. I do see the value of the wisdom that I've gained over the years. And I feel good about every gray hair I have, because each one has a story to tell. I even feel good about the age spots, the wrinkles, because it all is kind of a roadmap of things I've been through, and that I've survived life this far, and I will continue to survive it until the day the Lord calls me home. I'm good with that. I'm way wiser. I may sometimes have a harder time thinking of somebody's name or remembering a place I once went to or something. But those are just the little nitty-gritty facts, the details of it. But the wisdom that I have gained from the things I've been through, that is right there. And it is true wisdom. That was one thing Keith was talking about, in some of the texting we were doing, is times when he tried to speak into people's lives that were older, and how he really couldn't do it because he hadn't experienced it yet. You see, that's the thing about you and me. We've already been through some stuff, like them cinch bugs. And so we can be the one that brings peace for somebody else and go, you know what? Already been through it, and you're going to survive. Here's what happens with this. Sometimes it's just something you're just going to have to let it run its course. And then there's some things you can do something about it. But we're seasoned. We've been through some stuff, and we've learned a lot. And we have that to offer. My prayer life is way different from what it used to be. I have grown so much there and learned so much. And I feel my prayers are more effective now than what they used to be, because I've slowed down and I've learned that there's so much more to prayer than okay, God, I got this little situation. I need you to fix this. And then when you get done with that, if you could take care of this thing over here and, no. Good morning, Lord. Thank you for giving me another day. So what you got planned for us? Because I know I could have plans, and I kind of do, of things I want to do, but you know what? My plans are nothing in comparison to yours. So if you've got something else in mind, that's good. We'll go with what you want to do. It's not important for me to do what I wanted to do. I want to do what you want. Would you include me in your plans today? How can you use my life? Is there somebody you want me to talk to, or somebody you want me to just smile at or give a hug to, or, what is it? What can I do to serve you today? And I do notice that there are some younger people in my life that when they're not sure what to do about something, that they a lot of times will go, so they'll contact me, what do I do with this? And if I don't know, I'll tell them I don't know. But usually I've got some experience under my belt. Well, when I went through it, it was this. And, and you get through it and it'll be okay. And, a young mother with her first child, and that is a dear friend of mine. And she's going through, that just adjusting to being a mother. And I'm like, just relax. God gave you some amazing instincts. You're going to be amazed at how much you know that you didn't know you knew. And how's she doing? She's doing great. She's doing great. She's figuring so much stuff out. And, and she's just seeking the Lord. And, and every so often she goes, she'll ask me, what about this? What about that? And, I tell her what I know. But I don't know everything. But I know more than she does on it, because I've already raised a bunch of kids and some grandkids too. Yeah, when we get up there in our years, we're not useless. We're of greater use than we've ever been before because of what we've been through. And what was that Keith said? Getting up from when you've been knocked down, or however he put it. That's a huge thing right there. Because I would be challenged to find anybody over the age of 60 that hasn't been knocked down a few times in life and had to get back up. And if you went through those things and did them with the Lord, then all the better, all the greater. So if you're in that age group, I just want you to know your best days are still ahead of you. God hasn't called you home yet because he's not done with you. He's got more. And it doesn't matter if young people think you have usefulness or not. God knows you do because he's put it in you. And he's the one that will bring it out when it needs to be brought out. Just trust him. Focus on the Lord. Let your spiritual life grow. Exercise those muscles. Because truly, I'm telling you, I've had so much pushback, especially lately. The enemy really trying to mess with me on a daily basis. Now, why is he trying to mess with me? Just because he likes to. Now, he can't be everywhere at one time. So, those spirits go out and they can only focus on one person at a time. Why bother with me? I'll tell you why bother with me. Because God's not done with me. And God is doing something in me and through me that I may not even see, but the enemy does. And when I did the joke of, I must be a pretty dangerous old lady, you know what? It's really not a joke. I am dangerous because Jesus is in me. And if Jesus is in you and you're serving him and loving him, then you're dangerous too. So some of those things you go through, that's the enemy trying to discourage you. It's the lies of the enemy trying to make you think you got nothing left to give. But you do. That's why you woke up this morning. Every morning that you wake up, thank him that he woke you up this morning, because you can know that he woke you up because he's not done with you. You haven't even done your greatest thing. I shared about my dad. And when he passed away, and we're coming up on that anniversary this week of when he passed away. And, my dad, he was ready to go home the day my mom went. He wanted to go with her, but God didn't take him. And he just didn't understand that. And I said, because Dad, God's not done with you yet. He still has something for you to do. Well, I hope so. And my dad, bless his heart, with full-blown Alzheimer's, the one thing that never stopped in him, the one thing where he didn't get confused and where he didn't forget, was in sharing the Lord. And he shared the Lord with everybody he had an opportunity to. And so the Monday before he passed away, we had to go to the doctor to do a little test for them to check his heart. And they're just running an EKG on him to make the doctor happy because he wasn't going to let anybody do anything. And so we went in there, and the little girl, I say little girl, she's probably in her 20s. And, I've got grandchildren older than her. So to me, she was a little girl. Sweet little thing. my dad engaged her into a conversation, and he asked her the question, who's Jesus to you? And she had stopped and said, I don't know. Never really thought about it. But something about the way you ask that question makes me think that it's important, and I probably should think about it. And he's like, yes, you should. There's no more important thing for you to think about. And so they talked a little more, and she goes, you know what? I am going to think about it. I am going to look into who Jesus is and figure out who he is to me. And, and that's kind of the way it was left when, and stuff kept going wrong with every piece of equipment she went into the room with to hook him up. Wouldn't work, and she'd have to go get another one, and it was taking extra long. And I was kind of giggling in the corner because I was seeing what was going on. I'm like, oh, of course it is, because God needs you to have a little more time with the old man. And so when we got done and we stepped out in the hall to get ready to go, he did what he always did. First, I hope I don't embarrass you. And I'm like, oh, Daddy, no, you keep doing what you're doing. That will never embarrass me. And then, I hope that made a difference in her life. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure. And then he goes, that felt different this time. And I'm like, it did, didn't it? And I had said to him, I go, Dad, maybe that's the one. He goes, what one? I go, the last assignment God has for you. Maybe that's why it was the way it was today. And you needed to do, this was the one last person that he had for you to share with. And you did it. And he goes, well, if that's the case, then I guess I'll be going home pretty soon. And within that week, my dear sweet daddy went home to be with Jesus. It was his last assignment. Sorry, I can't not have emotions. But what a blessing. What a blessing that was it. And I try to remember that. You remember that. God's not going to take us home until we do that last assignment that he's got for us. So you know what? If you woke up this morning, which you had to or you wouldn't be listening to this, he's not done with you. He still has something great and wonderful to do for him. Hang on to that. And with that, I'm going to say, I love you, and I need to go, and God bless you, and we'll talk again real soon.